No, that's just you.
Let's get physical. Would our pools have rested, whatever, by this point?
Yes, you
Do we
are.
have time to do that? Okay.
Yep. So, so after your adventure out at sea and going back to town and making amends with people like Frund and or selling on some of your gear, you cut a deal with a barge operator named Constus, and Constus has agreed to take you up the river on his barge, which is a logging barge. Like basically, it's just carrying wood upriver, up sort of along here. It's actually not going sort of directly over here. There's actually another little stream that runs on the edge of the Westwood that he says is a faster route, and his aim is basically to get to Bodrov, which is this town here. Well, near the coast of it, near the river. There's a little inlet in there, and eventually to Charlemagne, although he's not real big on heading through the Dark Hills. So Westwood is, a sort of fairly wild forest. It's pretty uncivilized. There's been previous talks of something much darker being within the wood. There's still areas that have never been penetrated. There's rumours of a sanctum hidden deep within it, but in the last couple of years, it's sort of started to open up. A family called the Emols, E-M-O-L, have sort of started logging in there with a couple of contraptions of their sort of own design. And have started to log deeper than has ever been before. And that's sort of led to this boom in the paper industry in Harmouth, and as well as the logging. And so as you sort of start travelling up the river on Comstus's barge, and he sort of hums along and guides his large beasts that pull the barge upriver, you sort of notice that the land that his beasts walk along has been recently cleared. It looks like it doesn't look like there's always been a road there. It looks like it's it still shows the sign of having been cut back recently and cut into the shape it is. And it's a pretty sort of slow vehicle, given it sort of goes at the walking pace of these big sort of lumbering beasts. But it's also a fairly sort of calm journey. The river doesn't flow real far around here, and it sort of just meanders up there. So he says it's going to be about a week to get to Bodrov, sort of travelling 24 hours. Beasts don't seem to mind. So what are you going to do to kill time?
I will practice my balancing by finding things to stand on and standing on them.
Like the edge of the boat.
Maybe not the edge of the boat. I might have learnt a lesson. Probably haven't. Mostly just luck, really. But wherever.
Okay, so as you begin to travel along, Comstus sort of is just chattering along. He's got tales, but they're not nearly as exciting as Storchy's Tales of the Sea or anything like that. You get the sense that this guy's not really ventured far from where he is. As you're sort of pretending to listen to his tales and sort of nodding in agreement and in acknowledgement, folks, you climb up on the sort of the barge is quite long. It's covered in logs and it tows a couple more. But at the back end of the sort of lead barge, there's a small little cabin with an arched roof on it. And you sort of find yourself standing on the gable of the arch of the roof, and just sort of sitting there balancing him. And Scrapper, you sort of notice what he's doing there, and Blarg's just sort of, you see him sort of stand on it and sort of get his balance, and then you notice that after a while, after he's sort of been standing there a while, he starts lifting his foot up, and sort of standing there on one foot as the ship sort of rocks, and the barge is, it is pretty stable, but it still rocks a little bit with the flow of the river. And you sort of, as you're watching him, Whipper sort of starts to take an interest in him. And the robot walks up behind Blargs. Sort of climbs up on the roof. Blargs, you sort of see it sort of come up behind you. And the robot sort of looks at you and sort of makes that clicky, giggly, shuffly giggle noise that it makes. and it leans down. First, you think it's sort of going into a crawl, but then it pushes itself up until it's standing on its hands on the same arch. So it's standing on its arch with two hands. Not to be outdone, I'll get you to make a...
I'm glad I didn't even have to say it.
I'll get you to make a speed roll to balance. Difficulty 4, but you're now trained in balancing.
Alright, I'm trained in balancing, and I'll put a edge. Actually, no, this is a non-combat roll, which means I won't put edge into it because it's more funny this way. Wouldn't have made a difference anyway.
5.
So you sort of bend down and attempt to reciprocate, and at first you've got it. You're in a perfect handstand on the edge, but then you decide that you're not going to be. You have to outdo the robot rather than just match it. So very carefully, you sort of take one hand away from the edge of the boat, and for a second there, Scrappy, you think he's got it. You think he's got it until he sort of overbalances and falls down into Whipper and knocks both of you sort of down the edge of the slope of the roof. And you sort of come off the roof and onto a tarpaulin that Comstus has got out of the edge of the house, and both sort of fall there in a clatter and in a heap. The robot sort of makes these sort of, you sort of landed on the robot bugs, and it's making these sort of not like seriously pained noises, but sort of noises like it's winded almost. So, but you think that, if you keep practicing, you'll be able to really get a hang of this balance thing sooner or later.
Yeah, I basically walk up to Zipper and help him up. Still chuckling.
Out of curiosity, what colour was the gable that we were bouncing on? A peridot, olive, maybe?
An olive gable?
Yeah, some sort of green gable. Just curious.
No. Damn. No, it was more of a chartreuse.
Of course.
Mm. Okay, Ellender, what are you doing while this tomfoolery is going on?
I wouldn't call it tomfoolery. It's rather amusing. Considering the boat's kind of moving upstream at a relatively slow walking pace, considering it's being dragged up by the beasts, is the river particularly fast flowing? It's not stagnant, but it's not like rapids. It's sort of a decent current, It's not like a dangerous current. You think you could probably swim against it reasonably easily, but it's a decent clip. I suppose I just kind of want to, while the days go by, I kind of want to get a little bit better at figuring out how I can use my tentacles and my 2 remaining tentacles. So every so often I kind of want to strip down to just basically shorts and then take a dip and try and keep up with the boat as it's being pulled.
So you start to swim along next to the boat, and you feel that you know it's not quite the same sensation that you had underwater when you had all the tentacles. But it is a you do feel your swimming is sort of markedly better than it had been. You sort of feel a bit more manoeuvrable than it was before. You sort of feel a bit, you just sort of feel more at home in the water than you probably ever had before. It's a pretty cold river, but you also don't think the heat's getting to you quite as much.
That's good, considering I literally can't wear pants anymore. It's shorts or nothing.
Where are we? Right, so yeah, you sort of make your way up the river, and after about a day and a half's travel, it's sort of the middle of the day. You've moved past the area which had been heavily logged, and you're now into a part of the river where the river's narrowed a little bit. It had been sort of fairly wide. It's now still well wide enough for the barge, but it's not as it's not as expansive, and it's flowing a little bit quicker just because it's it's thinner. But here the cover of the trees is a lot higher. The track next to the river has gone from being a well-tracked road into something that's a lot less. It's a lot thinner, and there are trees around you that are bigger than the rest of the. Well, they're bigger than some of the trees you've seen, and they are, sort of looming over the river a little bit more, and it's a bit colder just because you're in the shade a bit more. Comstus looks at you, and he sort of said to you this morning, "You must stay close to the boat today, okay?"
Okay, what's the matter?
This part of the forest is, there are things in the forest that are very dangerous. It's not a place for, screwing around. Maybe less handstands, okay?
Dangerous? This sounds just like the place for me.
Yes, you're all very brave. You all have, you all have like 4 testicles, but it is still stay close to both. I knew a man once in Shalamas who had 5 testicles. He said he was born with 6, but he lose one. When I asked him how he lose it, he get very red, very sheepish. So I don't know.
I'd rather not find out.
Do you only have 2?
I'll let you know later. It's if you be nice to me, I'll let you look. Eh?
No, I don't think we'll be doing that.
He sort of chuckles and starts tending to his animals.
I'm not interested in hunting anything else at the moment. We're on a bit of a tight schedule trying to get to where we need to go.
So you have all done the. You've been on the boat before?
We've been on a boat going out to the ocean, yeah.
Ah, good. Then you know that this is the river. It's very different, but coming up on the river also is an area of a bit more violence.
That's okay. We're used to the violence. Trouble seems to find us quite often.
What sort of violence?
The river is, it's more bucking, and sometimes the it is unpredictable. There is something in the environment that makes it less predictable.
Oh, when you said violence, I was expecting like the fish to come up and start attacking the boat. That's nothing.
That's my thoughts as well.
Oh, not in this part of the world. I know other river that happen, but not this river. Oh no, the things we worry about here are all on the shore.
Right.
So locals on the land around this river.
Well, they're not the Lost Sparks. They're not local like you or me. They are local like well, they're local in the respect that they are here. I do not think they come from here originally. They don't have the look of something that's around here. It is probably the only place where. Have you heard of the Murden?
The what? The Murden?
Never heard of them.
There are these. Well, there are people. I don't want to use a tribe because they're not tribe. They are almost these things, and they're not very nice. They are. They wear cloaks. They have these like beaks. Well, who knows what they want? They're weird.
Well, you don't have to worry about too much because Blarg's over here. He's worth probably about 10 men, so you got nothing to worry about, I think.
I'm gonna
He's sort of.
flex.
He's gonna flex.
Yes!
Nice. 18.
He looks at you and he says, "Oh, if I were a woman, I would show you my testicles for free. How for that, huh? Eh?" And then he sort of thinks about what he says and he goes, "Hey, you know this sentiment. It's very, So you make your way out the river, and as you sort of head into the late afternoon on the second day, you sort of start to notice that the forest here is getting really, really dense, and also the weather's starting to come in. So it sort of starts a light rain over your head, and it's still quite warm. It's very almost rainforesty. But it is, you are in the shade. It is a bit dark, and it's now you've got this light rain, and the river up ahead is quite, it's starting to get quite choppy, and it's starting to, the beasts are plodding along, but it looks like they're straining against the weight of the barge a bit, and Comstus starts to not necessarily look concerned, but he's definitely paying more attention to driving the boat at this point. Like he's not still kidding around. He's not telling stories. He's just focused on driving. Scrapper, I'll get you to make an intellect roll. Difficulty 4.
Alright, I'll effort it to put it down by 1. And it was good that I did that.
So you sort of you've moved up to the head of the lead barge, which is the one that you sort of inhabit, and you sort of stare at the river ahead. And now you're no you're no ocean goer, no river person. You've not lived there, but even you notice that there's something weird on going on up ahead. As you sort of see the flow in the river, you start to see what looks like almost like discontinuities. So there'll be something that flows up here, then comes down here, and that it looks like the flow across the top will still be the same, but it's like juddering, almost like looks almost like a rendering error. You know, and the server fluttering around and quite energetically, you can sort of see that it doesn't look quite right.
I would basically point it out to the good old captain and say, is this what you were talking about unpredictable changes that could happen?
Comstus sort of looks forward and looks at it, and you sort of see his eyes go wide, and he sort of snaps to attention and says, "Okay, we may have little bit trouble here," and he sort of you see him bound towards the back end of the third barge. There's it's 3 barges, and he starts like strapping everything down, and all the straps that are on there he's tightening and checking, and he moves his way forward very quickly, and he sort of turns to you, yells up to you, Blug, and says, "You check the rope on the other side."
I will follow his instructions and check the rope.
Okay,
Not knowing how to.
so you need to bound final. Back to the final barge. So to do that, you sort of need to jump. So I'll get it's not too difficult at this point.
You just said his third favourite word.
Yep.
So are the first 2 acts, or...
I would have said axe or blogs.
Ah, good point. Yeah, alright.
It was axe and flex.
So it's it's only difficulty 3 because you're pretty astute. So difficulty 3 to cross the barges.
Well, I am... What's it? I am skilled in jumping. Yeah, I am. And I'm going to put a point of speed edge into it, so I don't actually have to roll, now that I've said this out loud, but I'm going to roll anyway. Whew. Good thing I'm skilled.
So you bound to the back of the final barge, and you sort of follow Comstus's lead and start tightening down like a synthetic strap with like a mechanism that you start pulling and working your way up in concert with Comstus. As he sort of looks back up the river, he yells to Ellen, and he says, "You need to get on the shore with the beasts and keep them calm."
Okay, screw it, I'll just fast step over to one of the beasts. Gravity swing.
Aren't you still swimming?
Well, if I'm still swimming, I'll be like fast step into the air and then fast step back down to the beasts.
Yeah.
So you make your way to the beasts, and they're these sort of giant carapaced, insecty, almost insecting. You've noticed them, as they've walked, sort of, you've seen them pick up like branches off of trees next to them and chew them as they've gone, digesting whole limbs of wood. You thought that nothing could stop these things, but they're pretty. But you'll notice that they're now sort of struggling as they move forward, and you can get the sense that they're a little bit unsettled. They're sort of chittering a bit, and they're quite, they're quite unsettled at the moment. So to calm them down is probably an intellect roll, and it's probably, they're probably starting to get quite freaked out. So it's probably difficulty 5.
Intellect roll. So they're getting a little bit freaked out, a little bit skittish, I guess. So just something to keep them calm. Cool. All right.
Yep.
I will expend a point of effort. And yeah, that's all that I will do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I'm a fool. I'm apparently not a fool.
Nice, 18.
Okay, so you move up to them and they're still sort of trudging along, and you sort of walk up beside one of them and start rubbing it down and soothing it. And as it does, its sort of carapace lifts a bit, and you can see some sort of vestigial wings under there. And so you start rubbing your hand along the edge of its wings to soothe it. And the other one you sort of move over to and start sort of rubbing up the side of the head while you're doing this, and just start calming them down. And so this patch of river that you'd noticed, Scrap, is rapidly approaching, and as it comes close, and Comstos and Blargs have moved their way up to the back up to the front cart, he sort of looks at it and looks at the shimmer and he says, "Oh, this will be a bad one. You need to brace." And no sooner has he said that, and you've sort of grabbed one of the straps of the load on the front, and the entire barge starts bucking around on top of you. And you notice that where the barge is moving through these discontinuities, the surface of it is sort of shifting up and down, much like the surface of the river has. It's almost like a clean a clean discontinuity on the surface of the actual barge. The logs are still intact, but the actual barge surface is actually moving up and down in blocks. So I'm going to get a speed roll from you to sort of balance and brace.
Oh god, we've gone into the world of Minecraft. Uh-oh. That's an 8.
Okay, so you sort of start to get jolted around, and you sort of, as you're getting jolted around, you get sort of trapped under you sort of get jolted under one of the logs, and it comes down on your legs, and it'll do 3 points of damage.
Ow.
As it sort of smashes down on you, before Zipper sort of just reaches over and sort of grabs you and pulls the log off of you. He sort of pushes you aside with one hand and grabs the log with the other, and sort of holds you there and holds you on the surface as the whole thing starts sort of bucking around. Elna, you're on the shore, so you can sort of see this all around, and you're just focused on getting these beasts and Blargs, you're sort of balancing on one block as it sort of moves up and down.
I knew this skill would be useful.
While Comstos sort of rides it out and keeps sort of yelling and looking upriver. This rough patch goes on for maybe 5 to 10 minutes as you're sort of bucked up and down on the barge, and before you start sort of feeling it lessen and reduce as you move into the move further up the river. After a couple of minutes of sort of clean sailing, Comstos seems to relax a bit, and he moves back to start checking the loads and starts looking at the surface of the barge. Scrappy, you notice where the barge had been, moving up and down and discontinuing. There's no sort of evidence that it was ever separated. Like, it looks like it's just back to being one sort of flat barge. It's never, it looks like it's never been cleaved. It looks like it's never changed. But you're pretty relieved that the experience is over.
Yeah, I'm just wincing, rubbing my legs at the moment after the log went on it.
Yeah. Yeah, lucky it wasn't one of the sort of, the front barge has got some other goods and has some less of the really big ones that are on the back barges. If you'd been on one of the back two barges, which have got the floor trunks on it, have hurt quite a bit.
Yeah.
About to sail on a bit, and Comstos is sort of looking uneasy, and he sort of says, "We don't usually get anything like that this far down the river. It is quite, I say unseasonal. They're not really season thing, but it is not usual. It is, unlucky weather."
I heard of weather doing that before.
Oh, this river has many strange things. Close to the westward, it is a very You know, the strange things happen, you know. Once we get closer to Bodrov, the river is much nicer, there are more people, you know, there's sometimes women. You know, it's good.
What do you mean sometimes? Is it a place full of men?
Oh, there are men there too, there are men, there are women, but sometimes the women are more friendly, you know.
Well, let's hope we don't encounter any more of those. I'm gonna make a note as a dimensional whirlpool because that's basically what it felt like.
Yeah, that's a good name, you know.
Patent pending.
Oh, this is the lore of the river, you know. The lore, it move up and down, they come from my mouth to other people's ear. You know, it is, you cannot control the way that people talk about things. You cannot control rumor. I hear a rumor, and, you know, crazy or not, that a major political figure is killed in Charmond, you know, and the people there, they're not happy. It's quite strange. I have a buddy who come from there. He say that there are riots in the streets for a while, and then it begin to calm down.
Well, might be something to go and visit Charmond once we've finished on our trek.
Well, let's
Hey,
just
it'd be
calm
fun.
down over there. I was worried that was going to happen.
You've been there? You hear a story?
Yeah, got into a bit of trouble over there, but wasn't really by our fault. It was by the fault of another that was sort of working behind the scenes, as it were, to sow chaos there.
Oh, I think there are many forces in this world's chaos. You know, these things to the north as well. These guys. I never met a gun. You know, I don't think they exist.
Well, I hope to meet a guy someday. So if I ever get there, and if I ever come back, I'll let you know.
You tell me, you know, you meet guy and you tell me if the women are pretty all I care about.
If the women are pretty, I'll bring one back with me as my wife.
And we may not be back with blogs.
Hey, you know.
Yeah, but be careful with wives. Just gonna throw that out there.
All right.
So you sail on up for another sort of 24 hours after the dimensional whirlpool, and Forest, you still the track is still quite. You know, you've been past some ancient ruins on the shores of the river, and one area where the water seemed to, with a blue light that you couldn't really pin the source of. But it's been, other than that, uneventful. You know, the sightseeing's been nice. Yeah. And you're sailing up in bikes, you sort of feel tired, a bit of a headache, and crap. You'll feel a bit irritable. But Elendar, I'll get a roll from you. Difficulty 3.
Int?
Yep.
Alright then. Let's see how I'm feeling right now. Apparently not the best.
So where is it going or no?
Yeah, it came up for me. I rolled 11 apparently.
Okay. So you sort of notice that your companions are a bit Well, and you're sort of feeling a bit fuzzy yourself. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Yes,
just
11
shut
and
up
12.
for me there. 11 and 12.
But then you sort of, because you're a bit more attuned to your mind than the other people in your party, you sort of feel that this sort of thing, this sort of sticky feeling in your head is not an internal thing. You start to think that there's something external pressing its psyche upon you.
Right.
So what do you do with that information?
I'm
I
just
say
like,
this entirely out of character. You should put on a show.
yeah, Comstus.
Yes, my friend.
There aren't any people around here, are there? There aren't any in those ruins that we passed?
In the ruins? No, it's not a, well, we are in a part of the forest where there are sometimes beasties, there are sometimes, I do not use the word, savages, like, no, the kind of people that upstanding gentlemen itself, some abhumans, I don't go into the forest, just stay on the river, I could deal with it even if it's doing thing. The people here, I do not deal with.
There's nothing around here that might intrude upon someone's mind and attempt to, I don't know, converse with someone?
Converse, the only thing around here are the Murden and the conversational. You saying something?
Think so. I don't know. Kind of yeah. I'm feeling a little bit fuzzy and a little bit disoriented, so maybe I'm just tired. I'm gonna go lie down.
He sort of looks at you for a minute and he says, I have felt it before. It is. And then he sort of starts looking around in the forest and looks at you and he says, you'll need to all be very careful. We could be about to run into a So you sort of start moving along, and your charge continues forward, and you're all now sort of wary that think something's out there. And as you move ahead up on the road up ahead, you notice that there's a roadblock that's been up. A couple of trees have been felled, and hanging around near the tree are hunched figures. So sort of standing behind the tree, and you can see them. They're sort of waiting there for you. Is a couple of hunched figures in these sort of big robes. And they've got these sort of big robes that cover them up to beak, and they've got these sort of spindly arms that come out beneath, straps, and they've all got this, bags and stuff hanging in front of them. They're all holding blades and everything. You approach. Would you like to stop the barge, or would you like to continue approaching?
So from the sounds of it, there's a big sort of tree trunk kind of collapsed across the river, and then there's all these hooded figures with little blades drawn on the riverbanks.
It's not on the river. It's on the shore where the beasts are walking, pulling the barge. And there's 3 of them, and they just say that there's like a guard or anything, but they're heading for you.
Let's say stop here and then we approach.
Can't afford to lose the animals.
Nope, hence why we probably should stop here first.
Creatures up ahead sort of guard you and what you do. Again, they're sort of loosely holding their blades by their side. You can see 3 of them, but you get the feeling that there's another hole in there. In the side. Of it's almost like a annoyance. You've got close, that headachy. It's debilitating you, but it's just.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, okay. Thought it was my connection. Yeah, Rage, you're really cutting out a ton.
Accelerating, one would say.
Yes. You said that word name I dropped.
How's that now?
It sounds better for now.
So, where did you last hear? They're waiting for you up ahead with blades drawn, but not threatening at you yet. You sort of know what's happening. What would you like to do?
This may come as a surprise. I propose we charge, or I charge. Attack.
These things do look like bandits, but are these, like, I kind of turn to Comstus and just like, are these the Murden thingies?
Looks at him and he says, yes, they are thieves, they are disgusting creatures. They take treasure, they eat carrion, they are gross. Trying to stop that he sort of leans over to you and he says, you will have trouble communicating with them, but if you manage, do not trust them, do not take one at
Right. As precaution, Blarks, come here. I'm going to tap you on the shoulder twice.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we should take our chances here. If they are what he says they are, then I don't think we should bother trying to reason with them. I think we know full well what they're trying to do.
Yeah. So I spend, like, before Blarks goes on his big charging frenzy, I'm going to tap him twice on the shoulder. The first tap on the shoulder is a little bit of aggression. The second tap on the shoulder is a little bit of distortion. So not only does he hit like a truck now, he is harder to be seen.
Ooh, damn. Giving Blogs buffs. He's our tank. Go.
I'd like to apologize because any successes that happen due to this, I will credit down entirely to me.
That's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
You deal the most damage out of everyone, so I'm okay with that.
Oh, I'm getting there. There's a reason for all the speed edge.
Let me just sorry, I'm just trying to load in a picture. How come on, you bloody thing? Yeah, so while you're preparing for that, so you want to get on these guys. You want to, charge at them without any parleying, without any attempts.
Well, parley is a good chance to get up close to them, thus less charging distance. But it does involve speaking when I could be hitting them. So,
From the sounds of what Comstus was saying there,
They're deceptive anyway.
the deceptive, thieving murderers or scoundrels.
I wouldn't bother parlaying.
I mean, you don't just collapse a
Okay.
thing beside the river and wave around blades if you're not trying to be menacing.
There we go. All right.
I don't know, it could be my kitchen rules in Numenera, you never know.
they're going to abduct us, and like it's going to be the new Ninth World Idol. We all have to do a song. And so you think you can dance with a giant mutated crab? Something like that.
It's X Factor, but it's all instead. There's no singing. There's just talent shows.
Right.
I know how to prove my
This
talent.
is our
Oh yeah?
Yeah, not gonna lie,
So,
I wouldn't trust that at all.
I wouldn't either.
I think I could throw
Okay,
it
so
considerably.
you're just gonna
but
charge? Workers, you're sort of in a medium, you're a little way off. So bikes to one of these things, behind the path. So you'll need to make a speed roll to clear the log as part of your sort of movement. After that, if you can make that speed roll, and you got it pretty fast. Difficulty 4. No, difficulty 5. Actually, 5 to do it smoothly. If you can make that roll, attack initiative as usual. 3 of them visible.
what could possibly go wrong?
I will let you know the aggression that I tapped you on the shoulder for. That gives an asset for might-based attack rolls, and distortion gives you an asset on speed defense rolls for 1
Okay.
minute each.
Excellent. Well, I will do my charge at them. Point of speed, effort into it. Done.
Okay. So you all of a sudden you've sort of stood on the bank. Other of you are sort of standing other and staring these birds in the eye. All of a sudden, Blargs breaks forward and starts charging. While he's charging, he brings his axe off his back and sort of charges with it in one hand as he gets there. And he makes his way and he looks up on top and sort of comes down in a almighty thud in front of him. But unfortunately, as you land, the mud on the other side is a bit thicker than you expected, and you sort of squelch into it a bit further. And as you try and regain your momentum, you're a bit bring their blades up, ready to your speed roll. That psychic buzzing from these things in your head has started, and you get, annoyed and snipping at each other and snipping at the world. It's the psychic. So, in the back of your memory that you've from your childhood surfaces. So I'll get that speed roll from you.
Or is that me? You sort of lagged out.
Hello, is that working now?
A little bit.
How about now?
Yeah, it looks like it. Are you downloading something or?
Shouldn't be. I'll just make sure it's all. It is weird. Anyway, so yeah, I will get the speed roll for there's Bugs' 13. Speed roll for
this is-
initiative.
Initiative, right.
Oh, initiative, right. Okay. Up, bugger. 7.
12.
Okay, so Blargs, even though you got caught in the mud and squelched, you managed to recover quick enough to first in the initiative round of these Murden things in front of you. They've also coming and bringing their up. It's chopping season ready.
Alright, I'll just go simply and attack the closest one with my axe.
Okay.
With a point of effort into it.
Okay, difficulty 3. Okay, so you bring your axe out from your sort of landing position, and you bring it up, almost in like a perfect wood chopper's pose. You know, if you take a chance on the competition, and you bring it sort of in an overhead slash, almost like you're felling a tree at the nearest Murden. How much damage does that do?
8. Wait, 9, sorry. I've got the +1 from Elendar.
No, that's not a +1 to damage.
Oh, sorry.
That's
That's 2
an
hit,
asset in
right.
your attack.
The bat? Never mind,
Yeah.
8 then.
It's a chance to hit increase.
So the first Murden in front of you sort of doesn't know what's hit it, and you down in a heavy blow on top of it, and it's axe and it falls to the ground. The weight of the blade takes it with you, and you sort of gash it quite heavily across its midsection. But it sort of stumbles on the ground and brings its sword up, its blade up in a guard. But the other two guys next to him have sort of gone, "Oh shit, what just happened?" And you feel a psychic buzzing from one of them. And as bushes to your right, Scrapper suddenly burst out, as though they were obviously waiting there in ambush to see what you'd do. And now that they've So, Elendar, it's your turn. There are now two people to Scrapper's right on the shore.
Right. From where Blargs is he considered a short distance away?
No, it's much closer to a medium.
But the guys that just appeared are considered
short.
short distance?
Short.
Cool.
Yes, they've just emerged from the undergrowth to your right.
Yeah, screw it. I get my new ability now. I've traded up from Gravity Smash, and I now have Gravity Cleave. So I'd like to Gravity Cleave
Okay.
one of the two that just appeared.
Sounds heavy.
Okay, so two of them there. One's two sort of daggers, and one's got a single blade. Dagger guy or blade guy?
I'll go for the two daggers. He looks a little bit quick on his feet. If I can slow him down, that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
No effort in this, though.
3.
Boom.
Okay,
12.
your gravity cleave connects. What?
That deals 6 points of damage.
Okay, so the one with the daggers is sort of standing there in a pose, ready to fight, and then you sort of see him just sort of stagger under his much effect on the before as you see the you see the one in front of you separate for a second and come back before it sort of it sort of clutches its side with one of its dagged hand and feels it, feels itself along the seam where the gravity cleave took effect. It's sort of written starts sort of almost like it's the psychic equivalent of when you a bit of water on a hot fry pan. But it almost feels. The with the blade, who's just seen his buddy gravity cloven. He's going to sort of look to his buddy and then at you, Scrap, with its sword. So I'll get us to dodge.
Was that me? Was that me to dodge? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't catch it. Did they leap onto the boat?
Frack.
No, you're all on the shore at this point.
Ah, right. Yeah, we all got off. Cool.
I'm spending an XP to reroll that because that is just not on. God damn!
That was a me reroll.
God shit.
Okay. So it comes through with a slash and it sort of grabs you along the sleeve, and I'll get a. I think I'm going to intrude there.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, so because you know these things are despicable and disgusting, you should have thought of this sooner, but you think they've actually poisoned their blades.
Uh-oh.
I need you to make a difficulty 3. If you accept the intrusion, I'll need you to make a might the poison will will move you down the damage track.
Alright.
You feel the slice of the blade in your arm as it deals, but then you sort of that wound and quickly realize is you tear a cloth off of your clothing and sort of wipe the wound immediately to get the poison away from your blood. And you sort of move your arm back and forth and it off, and you think that that's probably done it. The one that you gravity cleaved, Elendar, is going to come back to you. It sort of, it sort of has regained its balance and brings daggers up and sort of jumps up and leaps towards you with both. Just sort of jump and stab you in the back from front. I'll draw from you difficulty 3 as well.
Difficulty 3, no effort applied. Apparently I know when to not be an idiot. Apparently
Oh
not.
my god! Jeez. We aren't doing well in the defense, boys.
It's sort of you feel sort of burst of thing, a lot of memory of when you were a child. Probably only sort of 4 or 5, and you had an accident in your pants and ice. This is in your mind, and going, what are you thinking of that? It sort of distracts you for long enough for it to come and plunge its full on, which you thought might still sort of gack for 3 points of damage.
They are attacking with shame,
But
Mike.
not enough. It's obviously some. Bugs, you've got the two in front of you, and they're gonna, you see them sort of look at each other. These completely silent. They haven't made vocalization, and you see them sort of look at each other and nod. And one comes in high, like on attack, and the other one comes in on a low attack. So that'll be two defense rolls, difficulty. One of difficulty 3 for the first one, and then one of difficulty 4 for the second one. Be distracted because they're attacking in coordination.
Oh dear.
So yeah, 2 sequential defense rolls. First, you got to hit a 3, then you got to hit a 4.
So you gave me the
Yes. I gave you an asset on
Asset?
speed defense.
speed defense. Okay, cool. Well, actually, remembering to read my character sheet, I am at least trained in speed defense with my axe. So I will roll.
So you need to
with-
hit a 1 and a 2.
Yep, I might be able to do this. With my rolls though.
I was gonna say, like, I was
Um,
like, did you say you might be able to roll a 1 or a 2? Is that what you were meaning to say?
Yeah. I'll put a point of speed effort into it and then just roll anyway. Oh, safe. And roll number 2,
Okay.
point of speed effort. Too easy.
Okay. So you turn a solo the one, and you sort of turn it and use your axe to sort of lever the sword away from you. And as you do that, you use the momentum to sort of leave the ground like a side flip around the back of the burden, and sort of position with your axe in one hand, and do a quick where did he go, and then sort of turn around and all ready to defend again. Because it's your turn. Sorry, no, it's Scrapper's turn, and then it's your turn. So, Scrapper, you've got one who to attack you, and then there's one that's and then you've got one near Elendar, as well as 2 up near Bugs.
Okay, so the one that went for me is now in melee range, isn't he?
Yep. Where's Zipper at this point?
He's pretty much. I'd say Zipper's pretty much just right beside me, I guess. So what I would get Zipper to do is to flank him to try to give me an asset to hit. So I'll actually
communicate that to Zipper.
Yeah.
To communicate to him sort of quickly and effectively, I'll get just a difficulty 1 intellect roll.
Okay. I am cutting it close on that one.
You spot Zipper in it, and you think for a way before it sort of gets in the right position and sits there with its big sort of meaty fists, ready to flank, and the Murden that's attacking you sort of looks at the robot and starts to tries to push it out. And while it's doing that, what do you do?
I pretty much just grab my short sword and then slash right at it while it's distracted.
Okay, difficulty 3.
Okay. Boom, 13.
Okay. So so it's dealing with the robot, and then it realizes it's a mistake as it turns back to you. Just time to see your sword sort of flash through in a side swipe and come just short of its chin, and you sort of graze its throat, and you see a quick splash of red. How many points of damage is that going to do?
It's a medium weapon, so 4 damage.
Okay, so it's bleeding from its throat, and it pushes the flow, still holding its sword in the other hand. So it's still, by the fact that you've nicked something, but it's still well in the fight. Blargs, it's now your turn.
Huzzah! What's my situation?
So you've got two guys in front of you who are just very hard time through who sort of it's trying to stand up, but it's having much live. It's still sort of in the fight, but it's not.
Well, I'll probably deal with one of the standing people since they sound more immediately dangerous. And follow up my blisteringly complex attack with an axe with an attack with an axe. Would my asset to this still be active? Has it been a minute?
Pardon?
About how long has it been since the assets were placed on me by Elnor?
Certainly not.
Alrighty then. Bugger it.
You.
Since it's doing that, I will swing with my axe, and I would like to put a point of effort into damage.
Okay. So, difficulty. Well, what are we now? Difficulty plus hit anyway.
Oh my god, 20! Just bang!
Crap.
Just backhands a guy into the next universe.
Most textbook. This one, however, is a purely Larg's original. As you sort of bring the axe around and give it a diagonal slash across the and bring it down and into it for bringing your boot up and the sort of bite of your axe to its shoulder before you bring your boot up and sort of use it to wrench your axe back, and it sort of back out a spray of blood, and the thing in front of you just you see it sort of ineffectually try and grab its chest organs, but it can't quite do it, and it sort of collapses back down in a heap and dies. If you hit a 20 on that, I'm going to let you follow up with a dash at the next to it.
Huzzah! Now watch my luck
So you
turn
still have
around.
momentum.
I'll leave it as is. Ugh.
Okay, and then you bring your axe back down, and as you back out of the guy, you sort of use the momentum and bring it round in a sort of. Does that do? Is that 8 again?
Yep, that'll be 8.
In front of you, and it takes a pretty serious hit as well. You've got two very enfeebled murder in front of you. They are both on the verge of death. And as that one that you killed dies, there's this sort of mental static, though, that as it's sort of, it all happened very quickly that you hit that second one. And you get this really strong sense in your head, and your brain starts some of the embarrassing memories or memories of moments where you were surprised and shocked of that. So, you must make an intellect defense roll. Difficulty 3 again.
Oh god, my biggest weakness. Anything involving intellect. Or not.
Apparently not, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. It's a static, but it's because you have no perhaps because in the blood road battle, you've purpose. The sort of thing doesn't affect you at all. You've got one dude in front of you, the dude that you gravity clove. If he's still on his feet, but he's not in a great way. There's also one over bugging Scrapper.
Considering Scrapper looks like he, got hit a little bit worse than I did in that last attack, I will attempt to gravity cleave that one. Just a straight clock on the face or the beak.
So, difficulty 3.
Difficulty 3. I'm not rolling well. But that was a success, only just though.
So, Scrapper, one in front of you, his throat, and as it sort of see that discontinuity thing in its head for a second, and it sort of starts, it was bleeding from the. After that, you just sort of see it stop, and you sort of see blood run. Well, the top of its back out of its nose. This thing is. It collapses down in front of you. You think Elendar has basically given it a stroke. Except I'll make you roll that intellect defense that Blarg's just had to. As it dies, it sort of lets out psychic burst. So difficulty 3.
Alright, I'll put point of effort in as well. And it was irrelevant, but okay, 14.
Rain tries to bring up this you felt back as a child room with your machines, but then the sort of conscious brain goes, I love machines. Lets you, on. So, you've got the guy with 9 next to you, Elendar. It's going to sort of dash at you, difficulty 3 to dodge, even though it's realised it's not in a very good shape in this fight.
Time to dodge. Can I dodge?
Dodge!
Apparently yes.
Nice.
So it sort of slashes with the knife, but you're much too quick this time under its blow. Bugs, you've got two guys both punch drunk and both bleed everything. One's going to try and grab you, while the other one takes a shot at you. So that's just one. You've got an asset on defense, don't you?
Until the
Yes.
minute's up, yes.
Okay, so as the one tries to grab it, you just sort of ineffectually push it aside, and it's the one in front of you. You just turn aside its blade quite easily. Scrapper, it's your turn. The guy in front is still, it's well, Blarg.
Well, there's mainly just 3 left, right? The one next to Alendar and the one that Blargs is looking after now. So it's only really 2 left, right?
3. There's 2 near who are both Elendar, which is slightly less poorly, but certainly isn't pristine.
Okay. I might do the same strategy, get Zipper to flank for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I might switch over to the crossbow and take a shot.
Okay, take your shot.
Okay, so got my skill in attacks with medium range, so difficulty brings down by 1.
Mm-hmm. Like
Ugh.
you did. You bring your crossbow up, and in a snapshot, you take a shot at the thing in front of you, and the bolt just sort of pierces through one half of its hood and comes out the other. Elendar, you see this thing in front of you, sort of ready to attack you before the bolt just appears out of its side. Elendar, I'll get a defense roll against its death burst from you. Intellect roll.
I will put a point of effort into this because I have an inability against intellect defense tasks.
Oof.
But you just got it with your point of effort, so you feel a sort of shade of a feeling of hopelessness, of worthlessness for a second. But you're smart enough, and you figured out what these things were up to way back down the river. So it's all good. Blargs, you've got two nearly dead dudes in front of you. What do you want to do?
Ooh. Do I do something stupid? No, let's not do anything stupid. But it could be
Would
fun.
blogs do it though? That's the thing.
Would blogs do it? As a
Doesn't matter
chance
whether
to
or not,
show
whether or
off
not you think
his
it's dumb, it's whether or not
muscles.
blogs thinks it's dumb.
That's the thing, though. This would actually be something that requires not using the axe, so he's not going to do it. So
Yeah,
I'm
fair
just
enough.
going to attack the closest one, because this is what I do. I'll put a point of effort into hitting. Safer that way.
Okay, so the ones in front of you are both sort of, swaying back at you and trying to attack. You sort of take a look at one of them and sort of shrug your shoulders at it, and it sort of looks at you, and when it doesn't react, you bash it with the haft of your axe, and then bring it round in a sort of two-handed chop. It goes down, letting out a psychic burst as well. Intellect roll, defense. No worries for you again. No shame.
Too stupid to feel the power.
hmm
Yeah.
And then there is now just one alive in front of Blargs. Scrapper, would you like to... Scrapper. Elendar, would you like to just deal with it?
I do believe I won't actually gravity cleaver. That's going to be a little bit overkill in this instance. Would I be able to... How far away? It's like a medium distance or something like that?
Yeah, medium over the log.
Ah. There's no real chance of me just like... I suppose gravity shifting my way over there and just punching it at the end of a fast step.
Sure, why not? It's not paying attention to you.
Alright.
I'll get you... So that'll just be a normal attack roll.
Sweet. If my dice want to roll, thank you. There we go.
Ooh, slam.
So you sort of suddenly appear in front of this thing, and it sort of looks up for you for a second. Before you cough, give it a decent one that Blargs. It's not. You just hit it and cold cock it, and it sort of lays on the ground and it's out. A psychic burst from it. Because it's not. When it dies, it's lessened, so I won't make you roll against it. So those Murden, thought they had kings in a bar. Obviously didn't count coming across such as yourself. And you now have 5 Murden and a tree trunk on the road in front of you.
The tree trunk is preventing the beast from moving up alongside the river, isn't it? So we do need to move it.
You can, and move salt with Comsys, or can do something else.
I know, turn back to Comstus and be like, hey Comstus, I don't suppose you want any more lumber on this barge.
He did it and he goes, well, this is not very tree is not splitting. I am not more than 10 mins for a tree like this. Has it yours? And he sort of unhitches the beast for a moment. And these beasts going, and you'd see them punches and stuff as they've gone through. And he looks at him and goes, "Oh, And he sort of slowly tree trunk. They sort of crush everything in their path, and they both start eating the tree and eating into the wood. And the pincers at the front that are just grabbing the wood and just eating through it, almost like like termite. And you won't be waiting very long while they're in the tree. But while they're doing that, do anything with the corpses?
But we may as well see if they have anything valuable.
They all have a little that they were carrying on, and you go up nearest one and sort of go and start riffling through it. You open it up and reach your head, immediately regret it, because you start pulling out bones and sticks and stones. They're all like a transparent but sticky goo. This thing, it's almost like slobber or something. Sort of rag, and get finger, and you find 4 or 5 shins on each of them. But most of the treasure in there is actually worthless. And as you start riffling through the rest of the pouches, you find very similar things. So out of all 5 of the bodies, you end up with 22 shins across all of them. But it's not the most exciting of loot. Whatever these things think about, they obviously don't value treasure in quite the same way. So after about an hour of waiting for the beasts to eat it through, and you sort of scout out the immediate area surrounding just to make sure that you're not going to get jumped again, you find a little camp where these things are. I say camp, it's more like a series of like nests on the ground. And you start picking through them, and again you just find sticks and bones and weird stuff, shiny bits of metal and rock, but nothing particularly of value except for... Where are we? Oh, where are we? I'm trying to find my cipher list. Okay, so you find sort of 2 things of interest. The first thing you find is a cipher. And so you find this little crystal nodule thing. So I'll get one of you who can do it to do Identify Numenera. I believe you can do that, Ellender?
That is correct. Probably don't rely on me in this case.
Either way.
Okay, so it's this little crystal nodule thing, but you can't quite get a bead on what it does. It's sort of this like pure crystal. It's like a flat crystal. It's almost hexagonal, but you look into the structure and it looks like the inside is flowing around in a circle. But it's you can't quite get a read on what exactly it is. But it looks interesting, but you can't right now figure it out. Oh, where are we? The other thing you find is not a cipher. It's just an oddity. And it's a small little hat. You know, it looks almost like a Tyrolean hat, or it's just a little. It looks like it might have been if not a child's hat, then maybe a teenager's hat. It's a bit small for your heads. And as you sort of hold it, it starts making bird noises. And every now and then, keeps making little bird noises every now and then, this hat. You know, it's a soft hat. I think it is, but it's not. It's a normal cloth hat, except it sometimes makes bird noises. Okay. So as you head back to the river away from this little camp, the beasts have made short work of the tree trunk. What was that one for?
I don't even know. I must have accidentally clicked the roll button. My bad.
So you make your way back to the river, and by the time you're there, the beasts are demolished a lot of the tree trunk. There's just wood chips and sawdust and sitting on the ground in parts, and it's all, they've certainly made their way to the other side of it. And Comstus is rehitching them back up to the barge, and he says to you, that is the first time I've ever been jumped along the stretch of the river. They are not always so bold, but I have heard reports. I thought, it's not happened to me, but today it does happen to me. That is why we ply the river trade. It is it is never a dull moment on the river, right?
Hmm.
Okay, and I might leave the adventure there for tonight. So, after all that, you found a couple of shins. You found an oddity. You found a cipher, and I'll give you all. Well, it wasn't the best fight, but I'll give you all an XP point for fighting thing. Scrappy, you had an intrusion earlier, so 1 XP
yeah.
for you and 1 to give.
How high is your tier at the moment, Elander?
I am only tier 3, but I'm no rush to ascend. I like spending my stuff on incidental bonuses.
That's fine, I'll give you the 1 anyway.
Thank you.
Okay.